Welcome to the Increda-dental podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Flynn. Our goal is to make a positive impact in the dental field. I have been a dental assistant, a biller, an office manager, a scheduler, a hygienist, and a dental coach, which makes me your biggest fan. My husband was in the military and we traveled all over the United States. I had opportunities to work in many different practices, and I saw incredible practices and practices that had a lot of potential within them. Thank you for joining us. Let's dive into the podcast. Welcome to the Increda-dental podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Flynn. Today, we're going to speak about something that we don't often speak about, and we kind of brush it under the table or under the mat, and we don't give it recognition. And that is supporting your team or your patients or yourself or an associate when they're going through grief, when they're going through a hard time. And this is something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but we need to get good at being uncomfortable. We need to get better at addressing people's pain, not in a way to make fun of them, but in a way to care for them and appreciate them. Now, we had a friend named Dix, and he was a really close friend. He was a hilarious guy, and he became terminally ill, and he was a bit of a miser. And some simple acts made such a difference in his life. And so he would help us understand what he needed. He had never been married, didn't have any kids. And one thing that he told me, he goes, I need you to stop asking how I'm doing. I'm dying. I have stage 4 cancer. I'm not getting better. So instead of asking me how I'm doing today, I want you to ask me, is today a good day or a bad day? Because when we open the door and we allow them to say, today's hard, I haven't made it out of the bathroom, it's been really rough. Could you bring me some food or some water? I just need to know I'm not alone. Or they can say, today's been actually really good. And allow them to say, yes, today's a good day. But when we ask, how are you doing today? The answer is, in their head, they're thinking, I'm dying. What do you think? So open it up to let it be safe for a person to know that they can talk about their bad day and that you will just listen to them. Now, he told me as he got sicker that one of his favorite things I already knew was guacamole. That was like his favorite food on the planet. And I would call him when I would see it on sale and say, hey, I found guacamole on sale. Can I bring some by to you? And sometimes I would leave it on the doorstep, or I'd bring it in, put it in his fridge, or my husband and I would go over together and give him the guacamole. And sometimes he would say, I just don't think I'm eating. I don't think I want it. But we'd still come by and bring him the guacamole, not because we wanted to push it on him, but because we wanted to let him know that we cared. And we wanted him to know that he wasn't alone in his struggle and in his suffering. And he said that gesture, that kind act, was one of the biggest things he appreciated and that he valued of our friendship, because we did small acts. Sometimes we think we need to do something big to make things better. And I think that's one of the hardest things when we're dealing with someone who has had a loved one die or has been diagnosed as terminally ill, or they're going through a divorce, is that we don't know how to make it better, and we can't make it better. So understanding how vulnerable we are in that position is actually powerful, because once we know we can't make it better, but we can do the best we can, we're meeting the person where they are in their grief and mourning process. So that brings us to the next thing, just listening to the person, allowing them to speak about things that happened that led to the divorce, or that things that they remember and appreciate about their loved one who has died. Allow them to speak and be comfortable with them speaking about death. It's something we're not very good at, and it's going to take a lot of practice, and we may never get there and be really good at this. But listening to them and appreciating with where they're at is very powerful and is a lot of comfort for that person, because it's what you're letting them know is that they matter and that their pain that they're going through, they're not alone. Because that's one of the problems we have with grief, is that it can be very isolated and very lonely. And we don't have to be lonely in our pain. We can choose to speak about it, and we can choose to let people in our life and understand where we're at and how vulnerable we are. But doing this is powerful. So I want to encourage you to do small, simple acts. And then after you do small, simple acts, listen to the person that you're helping who's suffering and struggling in pain. Listen to them. Ask, are you having a good day or a bad day? And be aware that you might get an earful sometimes. You might get more than you bargained for, and that's all right. And then be willing to understand you're not going to be able to fix this situation. You're not going to be able to kiss this owie and make it better, if you will. But you can listen to them and check in on them regularly and let them know that they matter. And then you will never regret later when they pass or when things end this life that you did not reach out. You will feel really good about what you accomplished, even though you felt insufficient in the moment, because showing that you care is powerful. And doing small acts is even more powerful. So whether it's a phone call, a text, or simply sending them something in the mail or dropping something by, don't poo-poo your acts of kindness because it shows that you care. And that is humanity in one of the best actions that we have it. Thanks for joining me.